Disappointing day in the playoffs for the Chiefs at Arrowhead on a very cold January day, and they lose the game to the Baltimore Ravens 30-7. Don't score past the first quarter. Jamal Charles has a 40-some yard run to get into the end zone. 7-3 Chiefs, the only time that they led the game really outright, and then the Chiefs will go stale from there. And as a Chiefs fan, this was just it was something that was pretty unbelievable in so many ways. The Chiefs were not favored in this game. They weren't supposed to win this game. The Ravens had a better record. The Chiefs had multiple opportunities at the end of the season to blow a 10-6 season and even not go to the playoffs in the first place, although it didn't necessarily quote-unquote matter. Last week's 31-7 drubbing at home against the Raiders cost them a third seed and potentially playing the Jets at home, who also went on to beat the Colts. So who knows who the lesser two evils is there. But the Chiefs just looked unbelievably poor today. Matt Castle throws 3 interceptions. And let's take a look. Let's look first at the statistics. They're just as bad as statistics get. Even for a regular season game. I mean, even for a preseason game. These are horrible numbers. Let's just look. The team will finish with barely 100 yards rushing. Jamal Charles is going to have 82 yards and a touchdown. Matt Castle is going to have 70 yards total in the air. 70 yards that could have been completed on one pass. By any stretch of the imagination, that is just a horrible, horrible day. Statistically, the team stats are even worse. Not just what Castle did, but the Ravens had 26 first downs. The Chiefs had 8. And the Chiefs were 12%. Well, they were 1 for 8 on their third downs and did not convert a single fourth down. There probably is not enough hours in a day to discuss the fourth down call on 4th and inches. Haley would say in his post-conference that it was a play that worked in practice, and really what play doesn't look good in practice that you leave on the call sheet. Falling forward with your quarterback for an inch or two apparently doesn't work in practice at all. But we don't have time for that fourth down call because there's something else that needs to be addressed that will take as much time. The Ravens, by the way, were 52%. They were over half of their third down conversions. And forget the total yards, which the Chiefs just got absolutely dominated. The Ravens just dominating in every facet of the game. And the time of possession is probably why this butt kicking was what it was. The Ravens will have the ball for over 40 minutes, and the Chiefs will have it for 18. So the big point is it's not just a 23-point loss. It's never having the ball. It's never really having your fans in the game past the first quarter. Yes, it was 10-7 at halftime, but at the same time, in the last 2.5 minutes of the first half, the Ravens effortlessly go 80 yards and score a touchdown. After an unsuccessful downing that didn't happen at the 1-yard line by the Chiefs to force them to go 99 yards in less than 3 minutes. 2.5 minutes and change, they actually go 80 yards and score. So it's 10-7. The Chiefs are losing at halftime. But let's get to the meat of this thing here as Chiefs fans and how we feel overall about not just this game, but about the Kansas City Chiefs. without question, the Kansas City Chiefs are a classy organization. They aren't the Raiders. They don't sign the Michael Vicks of the world. They don't bring in the Randy Mosses or the Terrell Owens of the world. They're a classy organization. They do things right. Lamar Hunt helped found the NFL. He helped start the Super Bowl. And so these are good Midwestern people that do the right thing. And so with that in mind, it hurts us as fans to know, in fact, that Haley says after the game, well, let's just listen to it. Here's what Haley says after the game.
Again, a tough ending to a really fun year, and a year that we made a lot of progress, and I just do not want to, my message to our guys was don't, let a tough ending overshadow a lot of really good things. And we made some really good progress.
Okay, so we have that it was a fun year and the team is making progress. It's a fun year and the team is making progress. Well, we need to go back and take a look at what defines progress. The Chiefs won 10 games. That's better than the 4 games that they won the year before, last year, and it's certainly better than the 2 games that they won the year before that. However, not much better than the 9 games they won when they last made it to the playoffs and lost to the Colts in Indianapolis. But we're making progress, and this is why it seems hard to swallow, hard to digest for these Midwestern folks, these Chiefs fans that do things right. We don't lead the league in arrests at our stadium for abusing other fans, cutting off ears, these kinds of things. And yet the progress that the Chiefs have made was this particular game in the cold, blistering snow last night, 26-some degrees, and the progress is they set the NFL record for most consecutive playoff losses in a row. The last 7 attempts that the Chiefs have had in the playoffs have resulted in losses. 7 of them. No team in the history of the NFL has ever done anything like this before. It's an NFL record. But the Chiefs are having fun and they're making progress by setting an NFL record for futility. So, for those of you that don't remember, it was the 1993 season. It was 1994. It was 17 years ago. 17 years ago that the Chiefs, in fact, won a playoff game. As a matter of fact, they won 2 playoff games that year, beat the Steelers, beat the Oilers in 1994. It's been 17 years since the Chiefs actually won a playoff game. And they don't go to the playoffs every year. They don't go to the playoffs every year, but it's been 7 attempts. And so this is the progress that's been named. For those of you that don't know how long 17 years is, first of all, here was your starting quarterback. Joe Montana was the starting quarterback. That's how long ago it was. Marcus Allen was your running back. And they were both at the tail end of their careers. This wasn't the Marcus Allen that rushed for an unbelievable amount of yards in the Super Bowl in 1980 with John Madden. This is not the Joe Montana that threw the pass to Dwight Clark in the back of the end zone to beat the Cowboys. They were retreads. It was a decent defense. Actually, it was a good defense. It was a good defense that got them to where they were, and those guys had just enough tread left on the tires to have a nice little 13-win season and win a couple games in the playoffs. The Steelers in overtime at home, for that matter. But it's been that long, and there's just this unbelievable air of things for the Chiefs are headed in the right direction. Well, what direction does this team need to go in? They made the playoffs. And it doesn't help that the Seattle Seahawks at 7-9, media is making a big stink about how they're the first divisional winners with a losing record to go to the playoffs. Well, guess what? They won one more game than the Chiefs did in the playoffs. Yes, it was the miracle in Seattle. They beat the defending Super Bowl champion Saints but doesn't matter. They were 7-9. They're now 8-9, and they're still playing football, something that the 10-6 Chiefs cannot do. In the NFL, I don't care about our record. I really don't care that the Chiefs win 10 games, 9 games, 8-8, 16-0. Might be impressive to talk about so that all your boys down in Miami cannot drink their champagne early in the season. But nobody cares. I wasn't any more excited about a 13-3 team with Priest Holmes in 2003 playing against the Colts, a game that they were also supposed to lose and did in a divisional playoff game, not even a wild card game, a divisional playoff game with a week off, than I was about the 10-6 Chiefs, because the record doesn't matter. Get to the playoffs and do what you can do in the playoffs. Progress is doing things you haven't done before. The Chiefs have won 10 games before. The Chiefs have gone to the playoffs before. It's been 17 years. Arguably 30 to 40% of the people in the stadium today hadn't even been born the last time that the Chiefs actually won a playoff game. Progress would be for this team to win a playoff game. I don't care about 13, 14, 12, 10, or 9 games. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. The Seattle Seahawks are a game ahead of the Chiefs. They're making progress. The Seahawks have been to a Super Bowl in the last 10 years. The Chiefs haven't been to the Super Bowl since the 70s. We'll call it the 70s. Down in Louisiana at Tulane Stadium, obviously against the Minnesota Vikings. It's been that long. It's been 40 years. It's been that long. Super Bowl IV is now something that most people can't even identify with. The only connection that Kansas City folks have, Len Dawson does play-by-play, and he was the starting quarterback and still calls play action, play pass. So that's how long it's been. And it's just, one more time. Let's just hear it one more time what this season was like to a second-year coach.
Again, a tough ending to a really fun year, and a year that we made a lot of progress, and I just do not want to, my message to our guys was don't, let a tough ending overshadow a lot of really good things. And we made some really good progress.
So that's where we're going with this. We had fun, and we're making progress just because we won more games. But we didn't win any games that actually mattered. We got swept by the Raiders in horrible fashion. A loss in overtime in Oakland, and then an absolute butt-kicking on the last game of the season at Arrowhead. So you get swept by your division rival. You get annihilated on the road against every AFC West opponent that you play, and yet progress is being made simply because you won more games, but not any of the games that actually matters. You clinched a playoff spot by beating the Titans, which was a horrible football team to begin with. A terrible football team that really didn't compete most of this year. So we had fun, and we're making progress. I can promise you that for the fans of this city, for the fans that went to that game and froze their tails off and paid what they paid to see that game, they wouldn't describe anything as fun. They probably wouldn't even describe the season as that fun. Maybe because the Chiefs went 7 out of 8 at home, perhaps you could make an argument that they had fun at home for the games that they actually went to and parked and did all of that stuff. But sitting at home every other weekend, watching the Chiefs get drilled on the road, other than 1 or 2 games, not fun. Watching this happen in Wild Card Weekend, not fun. Really not fun. So if they're having fun, then good for them, but it's just not good enough. It's not good enough for people that are good people, that have had an influence, positive influence on this league, and it's just a shame that 30-7 is the end of what the Chiefs perceive as a fun season.